Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Janaína Machado. I'm from the Spiritist Society Seeds of Light of Fort Myers, and I will be your hostess this morning. Before we begin, let us conduct our opening prayer. So, at this moment, I would like to invite you all who are listening to us so we can connect our thoughts to our Master Jesus, to our Creator, and we ask from the good spirits that they may assist us this morning and this afternoon so we can bring the information about Spiritism so that that information may touch our hearts and help us to make better choices in life and move to the next level. So, dear Lord, thank you for another day. Thank you for another opportunity. And we ask your permission to begin tonight's seminar, this morning's seminar. Thank you, and so be it. All right. So, thank you all for tuning in with us. Again, my name is Janaína Machado, and I am from the Spiritist Society Seeds of Light of Fort Myers. In an effort to promote and disseminate Spiritism in English, the Spiritist Federation of Florida is proud to bring yet another event with this year's topic, what can Spiritism do for you? More than a statement, it is a question we hope to have answered by the end of the day. Hosting us this morning is Conscious Living Spiritist Group. We also have five different speakers from different Spiritist organizations entitled United This Morning and Afternoon, Promoting Unification and Fraternity. Today's program will be divided into two different blocks, one starting right now and the other at 2 p.m. Two blocks with Q&A at the end of each block. So make sure to write down your questions in the chat area. And this morning, our first speaker is Tereza Ayres. Tereza Ayres Curtis is from the Fraternity and Love Spiritist Center of Miami. Her topic this morning is Building Blocks for a Meaningful Life. Welcome, Tereza.
Thank you very much, Janaína. Thank you to all that are here with us this morning. And we hope you can bring to you some topics, some moments for reflection about what really Spiritism can do for us and how can you use these tools to make our life a meaningful life. So thank you very much for letting me come in here. I want to thank you also Conscious Living that is co-hosting with us. That makes me to feel much more comfortable because it's like we are there in the Sundays meetings and when they always receive us with love and care. So thank you very much for being with us this morning. So my thanks goes to Spiritist Florida Federation of Florida that is really committed to bring this more and more talks in English to expand this knowledge to all our brothers and sisters in this country. So we want to ask now for Jesus to inspire us that we can get the most of this message that is his message, and asking all the good spirits that help us to be a good instrument for this talk. So let's start it. And then we're going to start with the first question of the title of the seminar, that is what is Spiritism can do for us. And I would like to start with this. The three aspects of the Spiritism that by itself tells us what the Spiritism can do for us. When we reflect about the philosophical character of the Spiritism, we got to think about the basic questions that we all have: where we do come from, where are we going after this life, or what we are. And those are classic questions that Spiritism answer with clarity, incredible clarity. The second aspect is the science. The fact that the Spiritism was able to investigate through the mediumistic meetings the relation between the connection between material life and the spiritual life, all the communication with the spirit, all the experiments Kardec was able to promote, to develop, proves that there is something else there, proved that there is a spiritual world. That's the place where we came from, and that's the place we are going back. So this brings to us the certainty that the life is much more than this, what we see right now at this moment. And then we have the religious aspect. When we are asked if Spiritism is a religion, if you consider that religion is the connection that you establish between us and the Creator through the moral teachings of God, yes, this is a religion. When you have these three aspects together, it gives us the foundation of the Spiritism. And it's already answered a lot of our questions. So since the beginning, Spiritism does a lot for us when it's able to answer those questions. But you need to talk about the meaningful life. How can you build a meaningful life? How can we develop a life that is not going to be only meaningful for ourselves, but to others? And we cannot talk about this topic, meaning, without talk about Dr. Viktor Frankl. He, in his book, Men Searching for Meaning, it's a great example, and it's there we see his job. As a Holocaust survivor, he was able to see the difference between people who is able to overcome all the unthinkable conditions and survive and build another life after they overcome this horrible moment. At the same time, he was able to see people that more easily let the circumstance destroy them. So he dedicated his life to analyze what happens, how some people are able to face so difficult situations and they still find a meaning in their life, and others not. And he suggests to us that, and it's in fact is an answer how we find a meaning and what is the meaning. He says striving to find a meaning in life is the primary motivational force in a man. So finding the meaning, looking for the meaning, it's already something that make us to wake up in the morning with strength because we are looking for something. The meaning is something that we're fighting for, we look for, if we do what is in our condition to conquer this. And that's for example, for mothers, normally the meaning of their lives are their children. They can do anything to provide a good life for the children. But how about us who doesn't have children? And each one of us has a different meaning in our lives. So how can you find the meaning if in some point in our lives do we feel that there is no reason for us to be here? For sure, there is always a reason why we are incarnate at the moment on this planet. And there is a reason even for us to be here together this listening to this seminar. And Dr. Frankl gives us 3 different ways, that's a suggestion, for us to find the meaning, a way that you can go and find something that is we're going to be engaged, that is going to become the meaning of our lives. And we're going to see that the 3 ways is aligned perfectly with what the Spiritism teaches. And the 3 ways are through projects or work, through experiences and relationships, and through challenges and suffering. We're going to see how perfectly it's matched with teachings from the Spiritism. And you need to remember that the Spiritism came in many, many years before him. So the knowledge, the teachings, they are coming together in the right time. So let's talk about projects. What he says about projects is it's a way for us to create something meaningful. We need to feel productive. You need to find a way that you can engage with our time, with our talents, not to create something just for ourselves, but to others. And Emmanuel, the Spirit Emmanuel, with his, through Chico Xavier, he tells us in the book Fonte Viva, he tells us that realizing the meaning of life is to grow in constant service and improvement. So we need to really to work to find something that make us feel complete. And there is a task, a labor, or something that is just perfect for each one of us. And then you're going to find in the Spiritist book, in the question 674, when Kardec asked the spirits, the good spirits, is the necessity of labor a law of nature? Yes, labor is a law of nature. It is provided by the fact that it is a necessity. Civilization requires humankind to perform a greater amount of labor because it increases the sum of the needs and pleasure. And what is labor? And they complete every sort of useful occupation is labor. So we need really a life that is not able to produce anything. A person who lived this life is going to feel empty and is going to feel that there is no reason for being here. And this can create a sick thoughts. And that kind of thoughts can develop in depression and can bring even much more dramatic consequences. So doing something is already put us in movement and help us to create a different circumstances in our lives. So project would be our first step. And experiences and relationship, what is this? It's our relationship with others. When we live when we have a healthy relationship with friends, family, we have meaningful pursuits. When we have a good relationship, we want to provide for those who are around us a better place, a better world. How are we going to change this world? Having the intention to create happy experiences, having the desire to have a happy relationship. And we create around ourselves a better place to live. And it grows because I create a better place to live for my family and my friends They have different friends. So they're going to create the same psychosphere, health and happy psychosphere for their friends. And when we see, we're going to have a better world to live. We must progress. And for us to progress, you need to be around people. We are creatures that live in society. It's not for a coincidence. That's when you relate to others. That's when you learn tolerance, patience. We need to learn. And the other people tell us, and the real friends, they tell us what you need to improve. Sometimes they tell us truths that maybe we don't like too much, but help us to become a better persons. So we need to be together. We possess this faculty to relate to each others. We need to be contributing to each other, collaborating with each other. That's not for a coincidence that all the great projects are created by good teams. Great projects are not created by just one person. And you think that we're going to build and they want to be to see this to grow, that's when you get everybody involved and make this a big contribution to others. So the Spiritism, the good spirits tells us human must progress, and they cannot do this alone because they do not possess all faculties and need to contact with other humans. We all are very talented people. We all have wonderful qualities, despite of our weaknesses, but we already have a lot of good things. But we complement to each other. So my talent is just one part, what is necessary to build a great project of love. So I need to be in contact with other people, and you're going to put together all our talents, and then you create what we have in mind for a better society. And the third suggestion from Dr. Frankl is challenges usually involves suffering. Suffering is something that most of us doesn't like to hear, but it's part of life. We have moments of happiness and we have moments of suffering, but even with the suffering, we are able to find a meaning, or to find circumstances that maybe it's going to help us, or maybe not. Most of the time, when we overcome the suffering moments, we grow. We are different person. Because for us to overcome these moments, we had to use all our resources. And this is help us to grow. This is help us to develop our intelligence. It help us to develop all our sentiments, our feelings towards the others and to ourselves. Because if you need to fight, if you need to challenge, to face a challenge, we need to find inside of ourselves what you have the best to fight this fight. So after these difficult moments, we are a step ahead in our lives. So challenges, they are good for us. They help us to in our advancement. And in the Spiritism, we learn, and it's essential for us to see the meaning in our lives, even in the worst circumstances, is the justice of affliction. The justice of affliction means that nothing happens without a reason. That means that something happens before, or this is a consequence of our choices, or maybe we didn't use our free will in a good way. We didn't did what it was the best for us, and then the consequence is the suffering. So this is not a punishment. When you go through a suffering time, we are facing the consequences of our choices, and then you have a chance to learn with this. So this is a process of education, not a punishment. We learn how in a not so happy choice, not so wise choice we made, the consequences of this with this suffering. I know that I cannot act like this anymore. So the next facing the same situation, I will choose differently. So when you have this understanding that some people maybe have a very difficult life and other people have much easier life. This is not because God has preferred one towards the others. The God's justice is perfect and it's natural. So the difficulties have a cause, and if there is a cause for our suffering, this cause must be just. So when you find this path, when you understand life as a school, when we understand that we are here to learn, and every time you advance in our classes, we go into a better place, we go into a different grades that's going to give us more knowledge, more understanding, and in the future, our choices will be much better. Consequently, we're going to have a better life. That's how we all progress. Nobody is, for God, there is no privilege. We all are created the same way, and we're going to involve it, and we're going to have merit according to what we promote, according to our tasks. So knowing that the justice is perfect give us a sense of love. So the God we learn with the Spiritism, the Creator is the same. He creates we all equal, and it's given to us the same opportunities, but it's up to us to choose whatever we want, but the consequence will be different for each one according to its kind of path we took in life. So when you have this understand, we look for a better way to live. The first thing, when we started this talk, we'll talk about that the Spiritism, through the experience, prove that life is eternal. If I am eternal spirit, I'm going to be here forever. I want to have a meaningful life. So I'm going to, little by little, together with those around me, create a better way to live. Or I will feel that the meaning of my life is to build a better world. The third part we want to talk, that is another facet of the meaning of life. We had the three suggestions, the projects. We need to work, we need to get involved with people, and you need to face all the challenges, all your sufferings. And we're going to, little by little, finding the meaning of our lives. The psychology research shows that they divided this concept in three facets called coherence, purpose, and matter. So you're going to see that again, what the psychologists are talking now is something that Spiritism brought to us before. And in fact, Spiritism explained to us what Jesus has taught to us much before, many years before, right? So let's go one by one of these facets. So they explain that coherence is the feeling that life makes sense. For us to live in, when you think about anxiety, we think that about life that is going crazy, that makes no sense, right? So what is going to bring us a peace of mind and harmony? The feeling that life makes sense. But we look around and you see the crazy that is happening in our planet, and then you may think that life doesn't make any sense, but in fact always makes. Because when you look for console that the Spirit brings to us, the Spiritism, we understand the lessons of Jesus when he says, "Blessed are the afflicted, for they will be consoled." But how can we feel blessed if others are in suffering? Spiritism shows the cause of the suffering. It's from the past or from this present life, but is a consequence of something we did. It's like I'm saying the same thing that we talked before in the previous slide, but it's because you're just looking to the other side. Spiritism gives us unshakable faith because it shows the reason in a practical way why we suffer. It shows to us how we can conquer a better life. So it enables us to see things from a different point of view. And this is give us we feel secure when you face the situations in life. We know that in the future we're going to have a better life. We understand that any kind of suffering is temporary. It's necessary. When you learn the lesson, you don't need to face this anymore. You're going to have easier life. And little by little, we're going to evolve and you're going to find a happiness in any circumstances in your lives. Maybe you're not going to be there laughing, but you feel inside the peace that we are not alone to face all the problems maybe life brings to us. And that's the most powerful, in my point of view, of the happiness, of the Spiritism, that we can find the happiness even in the difficult moments in our lives. Because we learn about patience, we learn about resignation, and you gain courage to continue until when it's necessary. Because we know we have all the support we need. Understand God as a creator, and he created us in the same way, and he provided us everything we need. We learn with Jesus all the lessons we need to be, and we learn that we are unhappy when we go far away from the divine laws. And we have near to us all the time. When you connect with them, when you maintain our good thoughts, all the good spirits. And we have even more, because even when we are not better, we don't have very good thoughts, we still have at our sides our guardian angels. So with all this knowledge, we got to believe, right? And then we go to the end, we're going to see that everything makes sense. All the suffering, all the destructions, and all the blessings. Nothing came from the chaos. Everything is under control. The Creator is there taking care of everything. And Jesus, the governor of the planet, is taking care of this and looking for us in every moment. And another facet is the purpose. heaven and working toward goals. What a good thing, wake up in the morning and have something to conquer, having a goal to work for, right? And so what is the purpose? What is our purpose as a spirits incarnated in this planet? So the main purpose of a spirit incarnation is the progress, is to reach the relative perfection. So we're going to through all kinds of classes in this school called Earth for us to get the point where you're going to understand and God, understand why we are here completely. And we're going to be, our purpose is going to be changed the more we evolved. But even in this level, each one of us has a purpose in our lives. But sometimes you have a difficult to understand or to know what is our purpose. And I brought here from the Spirit Manual in the book The Spirit of the Truth, dictated to Chico Xavier, a passage that he is explaining some words from Jesus. Jesus asked two of his disciples what they are looking for. And in this passage, Emmanuel is explaining exactly this. And then he describes different ideas that are required to follow Jesus. And he ends the text saying, analyze what you do, observe what you say, meditate your most hidden aspirations. What answer do you give to the question for the Lord? Those who follow Christ live his apostolate, serve, cooperate, and walk on without fear or hesitation. Remind yourself that the verb of truth falls upon you every day, incessantly asking, what are you looking for? We all have a purpose, and you just need to find what is this. So you need to keep looking for. And here we have some ways for us to looking for this. And I have a for those who have already found the purpose, or for those who didn't find it yet, is going to have a good incentive to do it. The professor Victor Stretch from the public health at University of Michigan, he says in his research that individuals with powerful life purpose, on average, live longer lives. And do you an example? Chico Xavier passed away when he was 92. Irmã Dulce, Sister Dulce, she went back to spiritual world at age 84. And you have every day in our lives, in working actively, brightly, Divaldo Franco on his 93 years young. So it's a good reason to find a purpose, right? Because it matters. And matter is the third facet of meaning, looking for the meaning in life. And matter is the sense that life has value and make a difference to others. And since we talked before about Chico Xavier, Sister Dulce, and Divaldo Franco, we have no doubt that they impacted the lives of a lot of people. They still impact our lives every day. I believe most of us always have some passage, some phrases, some words that you remember from Divaldo Franco, from Sister Dulce, from Chico Xavier. How much knowledge you acquire every day when you look for the instructions. And they are the great examples because they show us that it's possible to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So it's matter, our life matter. when you're talking about, when you think that whatever we do, we're going to affect somebody else's life. So if you visualize ourselves at this moment, at the road of Damascus, and you have the opportunity to meet Jesus, are you ready to ask, like Paul asked, Lord, what do you want? What do you have me to do? And Spiritism bring us the directions we can take to do whatever Jesus asks us to do, and provide us the blocks we need to build this meaningful life. We can use, again, 3 items: benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness of all offenses. And in the Spiritist book, on the question 886, Kardec asks, what is the true meaning of the word charity as used by Jesus? Charity is benevolence for everyone, indulgence toward the imperfection of others, and forgiveness of offenses. So we are all together in this moment in the planet, and we are contributing everybody else's life. Our actions, our thoughts will in some moment and at some point touch somebody else's life. So when you have this, we develop in us the benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness, we are not make stronger our relationships with others. We are become someone that others want to have close to us, right? Because who doesn't want to have near them someone that forgives, is tolerant, and is always good? And being benevolent and doing the charity is being always able to help, but with care. Always pay attention not to offend, not to hurt the person who is receiving the help. And we are all of us are able to do that. You just need training. And the life provides us every time, opportunities to learn and to develop this quality, to develop this virtue. And we need examples, right? And then we brought these great examples. And Chico Xavier is going to be forever in our minds and our hearts, because all his life he brought kindness, benevolence, simplicity. He really loved his neighbor as he loved himself. And the most, and something that brings our attention all the time is his detachment from material things. He lived simply, humble. He was extremely humble. And his first thought was always toward to the others, to the poor. And there is something that is said that is quoted by him, is that when he said, I know people who still seek for things, let me correct, I know people so poor that they only have money. So the fact you have a lot of material things doesn't make us rich. That's our feelings, our sentiments that enlighten us and make us a special being. And his example of detachment, we can see through his books, all the books he wrote. He never told that it was his books, because he clearly knew that all the information was brought to him by the spirits, so it doesn't belong to him. And he never accepted anything, any kind of advantage because of his teachings. In the opposite, he always donates himself to others. The other example we brought was Sister Dulce, because it's very important that good spirits are everywhere, in every religion, in every place in the planet. And Sister Dulce is known as Sister Dulce of the poor, because since she was young in the convent, already helping people, and with the time she created the Obras Sociais, how it's known. That's the Charitable Works Foundation that was created in 49 to help those in need. And it's a big organization. And it helps at least 800 children that live in poverty. And there is a story that we can find online, a conversation between Divaldo Franco and Sister Dulce, that because of her condition, her health condition, sleep in a chair for many, many years. And then once he said that Divaldo asked her if she didn't want to have he could bring to her a bed for her to get rid of the chair and sleep more comfortable. And then she said, "No, my son, it's thanks to this humble chair I was able to acquire 20 pads for my patient in need." So people was giving her a bed for her able to sleep with more comfortable, and she was donating the bed to the. So she was keeping the chair, and people keep seeing the chair and keep donating beds. So that's the heart of someone that's the main in life is to help others. And Divaldo Franco is here every day talking with us, bringing us a lot of knowledge, a lot of love, a lot of compassion. His mediumship brought us more than 250 books, many of them translated in different languages. And his legacy is the light of knowledge. And with Uncle Nilsson, he created a vision of the way that helps provides more than 5,000 meals a day. So we have no idea how great is this organization and how many people they help. And most important, they don't ask their religion. They are there to help. So these three great examples of human beings, they live in the total harmony with the law of love. They suffer many times, yes. Sister Dulce, Chico Xavier, they had their health problems. Divaldo Franco had their. They suffer attack from people who doesn't understand the great of their work, but they never give up. They still working in favor to the ones in need, and the meaning of their lives, it's shown to us that way. So we see Divaldo Franco, before the pandemic, he was traveling around the world to bring this knowledge to us, bring his smile, his stories that many times makes us laugh, but illuminates our heart, right? And if you realize, we work all the time with the number 3, right? We had 3 aspects of Spiritism. We had 3 different ways to find meaning in our lives. We had 3 facets of meaning of life. And you had 3 great examples of people that lived and live the lessons of Jesus. And you want to end with 3 points for action, just because 3 is my favorite number. What Spiritism can do for us. The answer for me personally is the consolation, the hope, and the certainty the Creator is looking towards each and every one of us. And if I could give you my 3 points, would be the divine justice. To each one shall be given according to his works. Explaining very well by, this is Jesus' words very well explained by the good spirits. Love. Understand that the love is the finest sentiment and the eyes of the Jesus doctrine. And the charity, like you said before, the real charity is benevolence to all, indulgence in the imperfection of others, and forgiveness of offenses. So if you are able to put these blocks in our lives, we are building a very meaningful life and building a happy present and future. So again, I want to thank you for the opportunity that was given to me to bring this talk this morning. And hope that we can find every day meaningful reasons, and we can wake up with hope, contentment to fight for a better life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tereza. That was very enlightening. We'll have you back for our Q&A section. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is from... Hold on, okay. Our next speaker is from the Spiritist Society Seeds of Light of Fort Myers, and her name is Patricia Camurugy, and her topic is Packing for Eternal Life. What will we carry with us? Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, Jana.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us for the first time.
Yes, so it's my pleasure.
All right, so the word is yours.
Thank you. Hi, dear friends. May the sweet and serene Jesus peace be with us this morning. First, I want to thank the Spiritist Federation of Florida for this invitation to allow me to share my study about this exciting theme, Packing for Eternal Life, what we will carry with us. And when we talk about packing for eternal life, we are really talking about preparing to die. But many of us don't want to talk about death, even pronounce this name, right? But this beautiful doctrine teaches that we are here temporarily. We are a spirit, and our real life is in the other side, right? So, but because we are all most of the time afraid and don't want to talk about that, we don't prepare ourselves for this time. Because this travel, it's the travel that we are pretty sure that we have no doubt that will occur. But it's funny because usually we prepare ourselves for travels here enough. So in here, we have some awareness. When you start to think about traveling, this is started to begin like this. But someone travels to a distant country, usually they take as a part of their luggage only those things which will be useful for them in the place. So we all the time asking things like where to go, what will the weather be like, how much money I will spend it, what places we'll visit. But we know exactly where we go when we passed away. So this talk is to helping us to understand that we have a long life. For us, it's a long life, but it's a short comparing to infinity. But we have all the days to do things good, to put in our luggage things that have value. And we think, based on all those topics that I was talking about, saying that we are preparing ourselves for this luggage, because in the end, what we want to return home happy and feel that the trip was worth all the effort that we made to do it. And this is what we have here when we reincarnate. Because we need to use all the things that we have to worth our life. Because the main goal to reincarnate is to leverage our soul to become a better person and reduce our debts from other lives. Most of them are debts with parents, siblings, or other relatives that we have, or people that live so close to us. And this is important to understand, and this is why the Spiritism all the time clarifying us that the difficulty that we have around us, it is opportunity to resolve some questions and that came from years and lives ago. So this is time to use all this time to put all effort. But because when the time arrives to pass away, we can arrive and say, worth the time that I was incarnated. So for this, I will use the parable of talents to help us better pack for eternal life. I use for as my how can I say my north using this parable, because I think this is very aligned with this theme. So we will start saying exactly the parable, what it's about. For the kingdom of heaven, it's like a man traveling into a far country who calls his servants and distributes his talents to them according to their abilities. He gave 5 talents to one, 2 talents to another, and 1 talent to another servant. And then he immediately went on a journey. The one that had received 5 talents traded with them and gained another 5 talents. The same happens with the second one. He trades to them and gained another 2 talents. But the servant that had received 1 talent dug it in the ground to hide his master's money, believing that the master would be so hard on him. After a long time, the master returned and settled account with them. The servant who had received 5 talents had double this amount. And the one who had received 2 talents also doubled the number of the talents. And these 2 talents, to these 2 servants, the master said, since you have been faithful over a few things, I will entrust you with many things. Come and share the joy of your master. However, the servant that had hidden the talent justified himself, saying, Master, I knew that you were a hard man, reaping where you haven't sown, and gathering where you didn't scatter one single seed. I was afraid and went and hid the talent under the earth. But here is what belongs to you. And the master said, wicked and lazy servant, if you knew that I reaped where I didn't sow and gathered where I didn't scatter one seed. You should have put my money in the banker's hand, and then when I return, I could have received some interest on top of it. The master said, take the talent from this servant and give it to the one who has 10 talents. And he said, for whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. The one who has nothing, even what he seems to have, will be taken from him. And let that useless server into darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. You can find this parable in Matthew in chapter 25 in verses 14 to 30. But you can also find in chapter 16 in the Gospel according to the Spiritism, with the title Is Not Possible to Serve Both God and Mammon. Let's start the interpretation beat by beat of this parable, because each word saying by Jesus counts. And if we misinterpret the words, we can get the wrong idea of the meaning of this parable. In this parable, talent means it's represented, not means, represented by money. And here in earth, we use talent as a gift that we can sing, that we can play, and so forth. But could be many things that we receive to use for our benefit or help others. Talent, it's all the thing that is in our hand. So we have a lot because we receive a lot from God. But unfortunately, we spend many years and months fighting for, blaming everything, everybody, because we are not exactly what we think or what we wish to be. So let's stop to make efforts spending in things that we cannot change. Let's use the opportunity to live a better life, a new approach with all the things that we have. Because all the things that we have, we can live better. But if we are fighting for things that, because we don't know exactly what is the best thing for us, but God knows. As said in the parable, we receive according to our ability. But we don't understand this. We think we can deal with things, but most of them we can. So let's compare ourselves to those servants. As we receive talents in the spiritual realm and reincarnate to use these talents however we wish, according to our free will. But when we have to travel back to the eternal life, God comes to settle account with us, as the master did with the servants. So will be the time that we will have to say what we are carrying in our luggage. So let's imagine this. We reincarnating and backing and say to God, here, what I brought. So this is what this talk is about. And we receive different bodies, social and economic situations, opportunities, and place to be born from God. Difference. At the first glance, we can think that God is not fair. But I remind you again, In the parable said, we are receiving according to our abilities. Sometimes things that we have to deal with, the pain, the restriction, health, and other situation, we must see this as opportunity to grow, opportunity to progress, opportunity to see the different way. Because Spiritism teaches all the time that if we don't have any reason here in this life, it's because we can bring in another life debts that we have to deal with. So this is an opportunity. Let's use all the things that is in our hand. Even it is very hard to deal with. But we cannot forget that we are not alone. We have our guidance. We have Jesus with us and many spirits that can help us. So God, represented by the master, gave each servant a different amount of talent and expected them to use talents productively. So how can we do this? We receive special talents. And we can start with the intelligence as a talent. And God expects us to use our intellect to bring progress to humanity. For example, to encounter medicine to heal disease. And we are living this situation, how much it's important to use the intelligence. And when enhanced by working together, the results are amazing. Here that we are living under this pandemic, when the science put together all that knowledge, they could find the vaccine that was discovered in record time. So this is unbelievable. And this intelligence. It's the way that we can do a lot of things for others. I want to make an comparison as a plane that have two wings. One is the intelligence, and the other one is the moral. If you are not balanced, what will happen with this airplane? Maybe fall down and crash, or go to another place that they were not supposed to go. So this is important to balance, to use our intelligence in a right way. Because as I can remember, the difference between efficiency and effectiveness, for me, it's wonderful. Because efficiency, you do things right. But effectiveness, you do things right that has to be done. So with the intelligent and moral balance, we will use this intelligence to do things that has to be done, to progress ourselves and help others. Some spirits from Capella, that is another planet. I have an example for this that I am talking. Were banished from the planet because their vibration were not aligned with the planet. Because the planet has progressed and these spirits have not. All realms, mineral, vegetable, animal, and human, were created to progress. This is we learn with the Spiritism that we was created simple and ignorant, but we will achieve the Christ sphere, and this is in our hand, and we will achieve there. And the time that we will spend is just us that we need to work on to accelerate. So the Earth, our planet, it's becoming to regeneration planet. And because now we are like a classified this planet as expiation, trial and expiation. So to us to be in this sphere, progressing with this planet, you need to put our soul in the same vibration, in the same level, because all the spirits will progress. And if you don't have the same vibration, the same synchronism, we can happen with us exactly what happened with some spirits that was banished from Capella. Let's avoid this. Let's avoid this happen with us. We don't want to go and reincarnate in planet that it's lower in the level, lower level than we are now. So let's put all the effort. And another talent that we have, it's money. The ones that have the opportunity to be born rich or have a stable financial life have a considerable responsibility to transform their money into different options to help others. Building universities, hospitals, different kinds of assistance to multiply, blessing to many others. And it's okay to use their money in our own benefits. And there is nothing wrong about that. We just have to use it properly for ourselves and others. Money, it's not a bad thing when the money is used in the right way. We usually say that those who have money have an easy life. However, in the Spirit book, question 815, we can see that it's not quite the case. Let's see the question. What trials should human beings dread the most? Wealth or poverty? And the spirits answer, they are equally dangerous. Poverty inspires complaints against providence, while wealth stimulates all kinds of excesses. So we have an idea that when we are rich, we have an easy life, will be better. So now rich, I can do a lot of things to select the good things to put in our luggage, to prepare to die one day. But no, we cannot measure because we can't do this. Just God, spirits that is far from us, in other level, in the Christ sphere. Because be poor and rich, in any situation that we are, we can do things to help us and help others. And everything that we are living have a reason, have a purpose. We are not here like a tourist, as we started to say, when we think which travel we will do, we are here with a purpose, with the goal to be a better person. I'm emphasizing all the time because I think it is good for us to understand that we have a meaning to be here. And we have here the opportunity to use all that we have in our hands. As I said, intelligence, money. And according to the Spiritism, the gospel according to the Spiritism, in chapter 16 that I said before, it's not possible to serve both God and Mammon. In instruction for the spirits, we have a part that is the application of riches. And I choose a message from the spirit called Severus. He gave a great piece of advice to us. And he said, what then is the best way to employ riches? If you look for the answer in the words, love one another, we will find the solution. For here lies the secret of the best way of employing riches. Those who love their neighbor already have a line of action delineated for them in these words, because the application which most pleases God is charity. Not the cold and selfish charity that consists of distributing only that which is superfluous for their golden existence, but rather than charity full of love that reaches out to the unfortunate without causing them any humiliation. So most of the time, when we give for someone, we are thinking just giving what is superfluous for us. But now that we are living in the pandemic, and we felt that a lot of things that we have no reason. We have a lot of things. I'm pretty sure that all of you can realize and think that you have in your house and think, this is real necessity for me, or this is a superfluous. So we can start to do this in our home, looking for our things that we have. And not just to give because it's superfluous, as Tereza said, but because we start to provide that we can live with less, but we can't live with love, with respect. So this is time. This is what this talking about. Let's use all the things that we have. Let's put our luggage with good things. And we can move forward with different types of talents. And health, it's another talent, a blessing. Without health, we cannot use intelligence, money, or any other talent that we have. So let's not use the talent, this one, health, to focus on appearance, but to let our body be healthy, avoiding different vices surrounding us. Because we have a lot of vices, a lot of many temptations, and it's up to us to say no. I know it's hard to say no, but it's possible. In the spirit book said that it's Nothing that you can drag you on, that you don't have in your hand the possibility to say no. It is in your hand. And we learn from this doctrine that our life is very precious. Very precious. Many spirits in the spiritual realm are waiting for the opportunity to be born. If we damage our body, in a way, we are committing indirect suicide. Let's make this life worthwhile. Let's prove that we deserve this talent. Because when we incarnate, we have a plan. We don't remember this, but we have a plan to follow through this life and to live here, to born here with your family, with all the people, all the environment that you are living in. All the thing was planned. Imagine if you lose this opportunity, everything it's working in your favor, and Jesus and God see you and put you here and say, go. It's the time to you to provide for yourself, that you can be a better person, that you can progress your soul. And we have another talent. This one is the power. We have to be aware of how we will use it. It is widespread to blame the politicians, the bosses, for the abuse of their power. But what we are doing when we oppress our sons, daughters, husband, or anybody that is around us, just using the way of we thinking. We oppress others. God give us the power to test us in how we will use it. Those who use power to dominate, mistreat, and belittle will undoubtedly provide an account of this talent. But operating in a good way, we also be measured and receive back according to our results. What we reap is what we sow. Spiritism has 3 approaches that I can say for you: scientific, philosophical, and religious. I'm going to choose the case for scientific because Spiritism, it's not, it's not a faith for faith. We have faith because we think it has a reasonable thing behind all the things that we are learning in the Spiritism. So when we are saying that we will receive what we sow, we will reap what we sow, we are following the mathematic law, that is action and reaction. But in the Spiritism, we usually convey it as the cause and effect law. We are talking about mathematics. We are talking about we have to do things good to receive back. And I want to bring an example from other spirits in the same chapter. It's not possible to serve both God and Mammon. I truly encourage all of you to read this chapter, because I'm just picking up something here and there, but we have a lot of information in this chapter that for sure will help us to choose what we have to carry on. So I want to use the message from Pascal. Pascal, who was a French mathematician, physicist, inventor, philosopher, and writer when he was incarnated, he said in the message, "The traveler who arrives at a hostel, it's only giving a good room if he can pay for it. Those who have a sparse resource are forced to make do with something less agreeable." Right? This is correct. When they have nothing which belongs to them, they must sleep on a pallet bed. And he said, the same applies to man on his arrival in the world of the spirits. For it will depend entirely on what he owns as to where he will go. As simple as that. We receive back what we deserve. And we have another talent, a talent of faith. And this is a remarkable talent, because with faith, we make us confident of overcoming our problems, believing in divine justice. And faith is not related to religion. It's not related to the religion that we follow. It's related to what we are doing to connect us to God. Because religion means religare in Latin. It's connected us to God. And with faith, we have in our hand the determinism to go through our problems, to be confident and say, I will overcome this. And I will bring for you a story from Mother Teresa, known by Teresa of Calcutta. When she saw a poor man dying in the trash on the street of Calcutta, she rescued and gave him a bed to die with dignity. Can you imagine people dying in the trash in the street? And Mother Teresa went there and rescued this man. And he was very touched. And he asked, Mother, what is your religion? And she answered, my religion is you. The man also asked, who is your God? And Mother Teresa answered, the God is you. Dear friends, we have many examples to follow. I all the time be so emotional, and because we have an examples to follow. We don't have to think that which religion is perfect But this, with the Spiritism, this is the main reason of this Congress saying what the Spiritism can bring to you to transform your life. One of them is understand and respect others' religion. And if we put our neighbor as the reason, that's the way that we can help and progress ourselves, this is a good thing whatever religion you choose. And in my talk was very short, but I try to follow some talents that we have, that we can use, that we can choose. Because again, everything that we can, when we die, that we can keep with us, it's nothing material. It's just things that have value for our soul, that have value to let us more happy, because we are created to be happy. We cannot forget this. So everything, every situation that bring you pain, see that you have, as we learn with the Spiritism, that we have a life ahead. And we are here temporarily. Again, I'm saying again and again. And to close and finish this talk, I want to tell you another story, because I think this one, it's very related, that I'm saying all the time, that we have all the things in our hand to put in our luggage to arrive and talk to God, open and say, this is what I brought. This is a story about Eurípides Barçanufo, born in Sacramento, Minas Gerais. He was a teacher and had a strong mediumship. One day he felt his spirit rise and going up, up, up. And he saw a bright light. And he noticed, when he's coming close and close to this bright light, he noticed that this bright light was Jesus. He was very touched and bent his head, because he could hardly look directly at Jesus. He started to cry, remembering all the things that we did to Jesus while he was incarnated. Can you imagine this situation in front of Jesus? And you remember all the things that we done? That moment he gets some courage and he looked at Jesus. And he was astonished, because he saw Jesus crying. And he asked to Jesus, Jesus, why are you crying? And Jesus kept quiet. Said nothing, quiet. And he repeats the question, believing that Jesus hadn't heard him, and asked again, Jesus, are you crying for ones that mistreat you? And Jesus replied, no, because with this one, we have to be benevolent. We have to be merciful. I'm crying for the one that knows the gospel but doesn't practice it. So, dear friends, let be the servants of Jesus. He came around 2021 years ago, bringing the gospel, his examples. We can follow. He said that we can achieve the real realm, in the spiritual realm, be with God if we go through him, if we follow his examples. Don't let Jesus cry with our not compromising ourselves with things that happen around us. Let's pay attention. Look around. You have a lot of opportunities. Look around. And you can do not the big things. Do a small things. If you do small things, you are getting better. And this is becoming a habit. Do small things, but look around. See where you can be helpful for others. And for sure, when you will open your luggage, when you arrive in the spiritual realm, we will see that you have a lot of progress. You can, for sure, not achieve all the things that you could, but you overcome some. So this is what I have to bring to you in my talk. You have all in your hands to put a lot of things that have value in your luggage. And we have to count with the gospel and with this beautiful doctrine, Spiritism, that explain, in other words, amplifying our mind to understand how Jesus wants to say in the past. There is a third revelation. So, dears, I want to thank you for having me. And I wish you all a great week doing the good work. May you have peace and God bless you.
Thank you,
All of us.
Patricia. Great points you brought this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next guest speaker is Alexandre Alves, and he is from the Spiritist. He is from the Plenitude Spiritist Society of Kissimmee, and his topic will be Know Thyself, Empowering the Self. Welcome, Alex.
Good morning. Actually, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so very much for the opportunity. Thank you for inviting us. It's such a pleasure to be part of this wonderful activity initiative from the Spiritist Federation of Florida. It's for me, it's a blessing and it's a true pleasure to be over here. The topic that we're going to be talking today, it was for me, it was a huge challenge because the person that who gave this talk in Portuguese when we had the 10th Spiritist Conference of Florida back in March, it was Simão Pedro. And to try to get something that would be even closer to his knowledge and his wisdom, it was a true challenge for me. But which I would like to once again make a point and thank you for this opportunity. When we see a topic like this, when you see a main topic like this one, what can the Spiritism can do for you? And we come over here as a speaker. it looks like that we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experiences that to be sharing, or we can be consider someone of these wise workers or wise persons that can give talks and advices for everyone. Well, on my case specifically, I'm very, very far from that. It's important to remember that we are not here to give lessons or lectures as experts in Spiritism. We are all learners and students on this universal school, the school that we learn from on our daily basis. And we can always learn more. Our progress, as we are still, as Patricia very well said in the previous talk, we are still in this world of trial and atonement. We all have a long way to learn and a lot of new things to learn. So once again, I would like to thank the Spiritist Federation of Florida for this, for the trust and for the opportunity to study again and learn a little bit more. So instead of the topic of what Spiritism can do for you, I would like to bring, for me specifically, what Spiritism can do for us, because I'm still including myself as one of the learners and as one of the ones that have a lot of things to bring and keep studying with this doctrine and try to improve ourselves. But going to this main topic of what Spiritism can do for us and know thyself, empowering the self. Why it's so important when we look into the Spiritism to know ourselves, and how, as we start to know ourselves, we can take advantage of this knowledge. Most of us, we are kind of afraid to ask questions or to try to understand who we truly are, because we're kind of afraid to discover and to face what we really are. Because at the end, at the bottom of our minds and our hearts, we know exactly. But if we decide to move forward and we decided to embrace these new teachings that were brought by the enlightened spirits many, many years ago, we'll be able to take a lot of advantage, and we're going to be able to reach a level of understanding that we never had before. So, but before we reach or we approach this topic of the know thyself, first things first. If we want to know ourselves, we need first to understand who we are and what we're doing over here. So Spiritism helps to answer these most fundamental questions that that humankind has today. It helps us to answering some of the oldest and most fundamental questions that we have. Who are we? Where did we came from? Where I'm heading to? When we do and we have an understanding of these topics, a lot of other things make much more sense. So as we're gonna approach this, first, let's try to understand who we are. We are immortal spirits created by God. And according to the question 76 on the Spirit books, spirits are the intelligent beings of creation, and they populate the universe beyond the material world, which is, as we define ourselves, we are spirits. Our main lives, our main purpose is to live on the spiritual realm. So we populate the universe beyond the material world. The material world is just a small version of our entire universe. The biggest part of our universe is the spiritual realm. So we are the intelligent beings of the creation, and we populate the universe beyond the material world. Where did we come from? So if we found out that we are spirits created by God, where did we come from? At the beginning, from God. We were created by God, as by definition, as we could see on this previous passage. Right now, where we are on this life, on our evolutionary pathway, we came from our previous experiences from the past, which brought us up to this point. So we came from God as the beginning, as the creation, and we were created simple and ignorance, and ignorance over here as a lack of knowledge, with no knowledge whatsoever. And we came and we reached to this point as a result from our previous experiences from the past, what we have learned and what we have done in previous life. So if I'm an immortal spirit and I got over here as at this point through my previous experiences, where I'm heading to. According to the definitions and the teachings that we find in the Spirit's book, we are heading to perfection. And in order to reach that perfection, just like as Christ is perfect, because Christ is our role model, we got to go through multiple experiences and existences in order to learn everything that we have to learn. So when we go to this first things first, it looks too much complicated for some of us. We might have some difficulties in understanding a few things here and a few things there, but actually it makes a lot of sense. It is not that much complicated at all, because when we look into these concepts, it makes a lot of sense as explain the differences that we have. So let's suppose, or let's just think about it for a second, for a moment, that we just have one life, one incarnation. So if we just have one life and one incarnation, how can it be God just giving to me, you, or our neighbor over here everything, plenty of resources, material resources, health, financial resources, a good job, a good housing, and for our next door neighbor down the road, it gives him nothing. He's always struggling with his financial and material life. He's also always struggling with his health and everything. So how could be God called just if we had just one life and we wouldn't have the same opportunities as our neighbors? God wouldn't be just being just if we just had one incarnation. So when we look into this concept of multiple existences, as we are here as a result of our previous experiences, it starts to make a lot of sense and explain the differences that we have in our lives and everything. Also, give us a totally different perspective on our lives, on our current lives, and what we're doing over here today, because it helps us to understand the reasons and the whys for our sufferings and our struggles. If we are results of our previous experiences, most likely we are getting the consequences on what we have done in the past. So we stop it to asking, oh God, why me? Everything happens to me. Oh, God forgot about me. Oh, God, it doesn't look at me. Oh, God, it doesn't help me. I don't get anything. Everything bad happens to me. Actually, it's not like that. It's just like the way that we face things, because as we don't like to face the things as a result of our own attitudes and consequences, we try to blame somebody else's. As we don't have somebody else to blame onto these circumstances, we blame God. So when we understand that we are here because we had lived in the past for several existences, and right now we are reaping the consequences on what we have saw in the past, we understand the reasons and the whys why we suffer or we struggle with so many things. And that brings us a totally different way, because place us in control of our lives. Once I understand who I am, where did I come from? If I want to project my future and my pathway towards the future, I can place, or I can have and take control of my life in my own hands. Because if I understand that I'm got here through my experiences from the past, I also understand that my experiences in the present will guide my future and will conduct my future as well. So once I understand that I needed to do better things now in order to get a better life in the future, and I can take control where I'm heading to and the way that I'm heading to this perfection, I needed to understand and know myself so I can make the changes that I needed to make and implement in myself so I can get better results in the future. So as we understand all of this complexity, which is not that much complex on the Spiritism concepts, I understand and I take control in my own life for the future. I can do and start to changes the things. How do I feel? How do I see? And how do I act? So I can project my future and I can take control. What is going to be the outcome for me in the future. So that's why it's so important that we know ourselves. So we have a brief explanation on why it's important. Let's also see a little bit more about this why, and most importantly, how do I apply this concept and how I can take or go into a deep analysis on myself to find the things that we needed to change. If we go to the Spirit book on the third part, which it talks about moral perfection, there is a subtopic. It's called self-knowledge. And see how Kardec. It's amazing. As a professor, it's a person, a scientific person. He has a lot of knowledge, a lot of sense, and a lot of thought on everything that he had written and brought it to us. So he put a self-knowledge as a subtopic of a moral perfection, in order to show us, in order to reach moral perfection, we gotta understand and we gotta have self-knowledge on our own. So on this question, which is question 919 on the Spirit books, Kardec asks to the enlightened spirits, what is the most effective method for guaranteeing self-improvement and resisting the attraction of wrongdoing? And looks at the words over here. Methods guaranteeing self-improvement and resisting the attraction of wrongdoing. So in order to guarantee and apply a self-improvement to ourselves, in order to keep me away from the wrong things and the consequences of the wrong things, the answer is know thyself. A philosopher of antiquity once said, know thyself. And this answer was brought to us by St. Augustine. And this philosopher that St. Augustine was talking about was Socrates. When we have this concept, also Joanna de Angelis brought us another idea, which is self-knowledge helps one to discern between what is useful or superfluous, indispensable or secondary to a happy life. So as we understand ourselves, that we are spirits, that we are not Alex or somebody else which is living over here. I'm being Alex at this incarnation, but I'm not. This incarnation over here do not represent all of my potential and everything that I have or I can be in the future. So once I understand that I'm immortal spirits on a process of evolution and evolvement, so the things that I know and the way that I know makes me to understand and make a better discernment between what is useful or superfluous. So why should I be so much concerned about my job and my possessions, the material things that I have, if I know at the end of my life, at the end of my incarnation, I will have to give these material possessions back to Earth because I can't leave anything. I can't take anything with me back to the spiritual realm. So why should I be spending so much time or so much concerns or worrying so much about something that I'm not going to be able to take in the future? So I can be a better discernment. I can be starting to make better choices and better decisions for myself. I know what is indispensable or secondary to a happy life, because now I understand that the most indispensable things are the moral values that we are cultivating. And the secondary things are the material things that we have. They are important, but they are not the most important thing that we have in our lives. Once we know this, once we take control, we are empowering ourselves because we know who we are and we are taking results, we are taking control of our lives to get a better results in the future. So now we know why we should be knowing ourselves, because we want to take control. But most importantly, how do we do that? And that's the $1,000,000 question that also St. Augustine will help us to answer with his dissertations on the Spirit's book. On the second part of the same question, the question 919A, Kardec says, we fully admit the wisdom of this saying, know thyself. But a self-knowledge is precisely what is the most difficult to achieve. How can we acquire it? Another thing that I would like to bring to our attention is how practical Spiritism is. Spiritism is not just a philosophy or a religion that makes us wonder, what if we had something? What would happen if that? Oh, it would be so nice if things were that way. No, Spiritism is basically and primarily a science which it helps us to understand the concepts of life as universal laws of nature, laws of God created by God that applies to the entire universe. So when we see that as a science, we apply this on a practical way to our daily lives and daily routines as well. We are not just wondering, oh, that would be so nice if people would be doing this. Oh, that would be so great if things were on that way. No, we are not just wondering. We can take control and make the things practical in our lives in order to change ourselves. So Kardec asked, while we fully admit to the wisdom of this saying, but self-knowledge is precisely what is the most difficult to achieve. How can we acquire it? And I'm not going to be going over all the aspects and all the answers of St. Augustine because we would be talking over here for another 3 hours, and most likely Janaina would be really mad at me. But I'm just going to be giving a brief questions and answers about this. How can we acquire this self-knowledge? Well, one of the most important things is asking questions to ourselves. And which questions are these? For example, today, on the day that I'm finishing today, have I done anything that I could have hurt someone? So if we look in our day, on all of our actions and attitudes, did I do anything towards someone that I could have done in a different way? Did I do something that I could have hurt someone? So when we ask this, we started to pay attention on our attitudes, on our words, and the way that we're relating to other people as well. Other questions that we should be asking is, today, did I do everything within my power to help support someone in need? It's many faults that we commit pass by us unnoticed. In fact, following the counsel of St. Augustine, if we would interrogate our conscience more frequently, we would see how often we fail without noticing it by not having scrutinized the nature and motive of our deeds. These are personal questions, and from the sum of those answers, we can compute the sum of the good and the evil that exists on us. And why most of the faults that we commit pass by us unnoticed? Because we react automatically to the things without even thinking if we are hurting or not other people. If we are doing the things as Jesus would do, if before any phrase, any word, any attitude, we would ask ourselves what Jesus would do, what Jesus would say, I can guarantee that 95% of our problems and struggles, they would be solved because we would be rethinking how we do and how we say things. So one of the most practical things is at the end of the day, let's ask ourselves, and everything that I have done and said it today, did I said or had done something that I could have hurt someone? Did I did everything that was on my power to help someone as well? Um, these are the questions that we can ask it to ourselves to understand and to know us better. But we also can ask questions to our friends and to our enemies. Oh, yes, the enemies, because they will give answers to us that most of our friends wouldn't give it. Because, our friends, they are nice, they are gentle, they don't want to hurt our feelings. So maybe they would be saying things on a more leisure way, on an easy way, and we wouldn't understand how bad we are on this aspect or on that aspect. But if we ask it to our enemy, he'll tell us the truth on our face, just like that. So it's important also to make or give ears or to listen what our enemies have to say towards us. When we can ask it to our friends and enemies, for example, because it's important to get an external perspective about ourselves. When we ask it to our friends and we talk it to other people, we can also analyze our reactions towards somebody else's actions. So let's say, how am I reacting to this that is happening to me right now? Somebody did that. How I'm feeling? How do I feel about that? Do I feel good? Do I feel that I've been provoked? Do I feel that I've been maybe feeling it's hurting my proud, hurting my ego, or something like that. So we know a few things that we needed to pay attention in order not to let our ego and our pride dominate our reactions. So when we start to pay attention to these reactions, we also learn how to control our pride and our ego in order to lower them down and make the things that we are supposed to do as by Jesus' teachings. Also, when we analyze other people's reactions towards our actions. So sometimes we do things that we are thinking that we're doing one of the greatest attitudes whatsoever. It was one of the best things that we could have done and everything. But when we look at the other people's reaction, we realize that it wasn't exactly like that. The other people's reaction are showing us that maybe we were more aggressive, maybe we were way too aggressive, maybe we were not truthful, maybe we did something that hurt someone. We did it with the best intentions, but maybe we did this on the wrong way. Maybe we did the right thing on the wrong way, on taking an approach that wouldn't be the best. So when we look into other people's reactions to our attitudes, to our words and everything, we also start to learn how to approach people better. And why is that important? Because as social um, beings as we are, there's no way that we can reach perfection or evolvement without relating to other people, to other spirits. And once we learn to relate better to other spirits, we also going to be creating a better environment and better people around us. Because also this thing on know thyself, it is important not just because of me, what I'm learning, what I'm doing, what I'm creating for me in the future, but also when we start to think to do the things as Christ asked it, that's when we became true gospels widespreaders, or God's or gospels whispers. Let's put it this way, because a gospel whisperer is not the one, or a gospel follower, or a very true Christian. It's not the one who knows the gospel by heart. A true Christian, the one who can be called a true gospel whisperer, is the one who practices the teachings from the gospel. So once we start to change our behavior and the way that we relate it to other people, we are exemplifying to others what Christ is expecting from us. So we started to impact somebody else's lives with our examples and our attitudes, if they are, of course, exactly according to Christ's teachings as we can find in the gospel. But it's important to understand that when we start to changing ourselves, and if we are doing this on the right way with the right tools around us, we are also helping other people which are living with us to understand the different perspectives for their lives, and we are helping them to live and reach a better results as well. So when we know that ourselves and we know how to relate it to other people, we also bring to them different perspectives, and we are contributing for them to become a better people as well. So as we understand and how to know ourselves, how to understand how other people react and everything, once we start to do this self-transformation and we start to make these changes inside of us, we also start to see different consequences. We start to see different things. So the consequences of knowing ourselves, knowing thyself, that's why when we can do it's one of the consequences is we are redefining purpose and values for our lives. For example, from now on, who do I see life for the next 30 years or for the next three incarnations? Am I doing things now just thinking, or what is going to happen to me on my next 30 years? Or am I doing things now thinking what is going to happen for me on the next three incarnations? So if we're just thinking for the next 30 years, maybe we're not maybe so much concerned about some kind of attitudes that we take towards a family member, maybe somebody that we own money to, and we just kind of forget it to pay because when I die, when I pass away, nobody's going to be paying attention on that. But if we think on our three incarnations, any kind of a debts that we have right now, it's better that we pay right now, because in the future they will still be a debit on our columns, and we will still gonna be responsible for that. So everything that we do, once we have this new perspective, we change the way that we're doing things. We start to think on life, not just for the next 30 years that we have ahead of us, but for the next three incarnations that we have ahead of us. Also, under this new perspective, is this really important? Anything. Under this new perspective, what is really important? So we start to asking questions to this. Well, this is a thing that we are fighting about. Is this really important? What is important in all of this? We're gonna stop it to fighting for little things as we used to do in the past. Who is right and who is wrong? Doing it my way or on your way? We is gonna start to understand that is, if it's not against God's law, there is not right or wrong. That my perspective and your perspective. So we are fighting for, because I think the TV should be on this side and you think the TV should be on that side. What is important on that? Is this really important? So we're going to start to fight the fights, which are really important. The ones that we need to fight against ourselves. These little things, they are not important anymore because we have a new perspective. We have a new way that we can face our lives. Another consequence is we're going to bring a lot of changes to us. Because if I want different results, I got to do the things on a different way. If I wanted to be in charge of my life for the future, if I want to be in charge on the outcome of what's coming towards me in the future, I got to do the things on a different way. There's a saying that says the definition of stupidity is just keep doing the same things as always and wait and expect a different result. It's not going to come. If I keep doing the things that I was doing in the past, I will get always the same results. To get a different result, I got to do things on a different way. So this is going to be bringing us also some changes to our lives. Also, that we're going to bring to us mental maturity. As we know thyself, as we understand ourselves, we understand also that life is full in purpose and its main aspect is immortality. So I start to see life as in the challenges that happens around me as in a way, as in a different perspective, that God is trying me to see how I'm going to be reacting towards the problems that I have. So any challenge that I might have, it's another tryout. It's not an expiation. It's a tryout to see, well, Alex, I'm going to throw you this problem. How do you face it? How do you react to that? Are you going to react violently, blaming somebody, making somebody else's life impossible or a kind of a hell because you were blaming everything? Or are you going to be facing this problem as an opportunity to try out or to improve your patience, to improve your sense of charity, your sense of understanding? See, we started to bring and we start to have a much more and a much higher mental maturity, because we understand exactly what is going with us. As we have a much better and a much higher mental maturity, we also gonna start to bring and cultivate a much higher moral maturity. Because as we think better, we make better choices. When we make better choices, we're gonna have better consequences. When we are overcome our instincts, we are not reacting anymore to just something that is happening to us. We are thinking and we are asking what Jesus would do, what Jesus would say. This is when we empower ourselves. The moral maturity that we will achieve as a consequence of knowing thyself, it's empowering us because we take control. We think better, we have better choices, we have better consequences. We're going to be able to overcome our instincts, and we're going to be building a much better outcome in the future based on the attitudes, behaviors, words, and works that we do nowadays. So we are taking in power, we are taking control of our lives. We are taking our lives back in our hands. In order to start to close and bring our presentation, our talk to an end, I would like to bring up some final words and some final perspectives, which I think it's important to all of us. One of these is Spiritism answers pretty much the most fundamental questions from humankind. Who am I? Where did I come from? Where I'm heading to? I'm a mortal spirit I'm a result of my previous experiences and everything that I have learned in the past. And I'm heading towards perfection through multiple lives and existences where I'm going to be able to show myself and prove myself that I have learned the lessons that Christ has been come to earth and taught it to us. Also, when we have this new understanding, it helps us understand our purpose on this life. And our purpose is to get better, to improve ourselves, to live this incarnation a little better than when we just came. It's not to be saving the world. It's not to be doing something magical. We might be able to do it. We might be able to achieve something very special. But our main purpose on this life is to live better than when we came in. That the tryouts that we have are just the struggles that we have are just tryouts that we have to see how we're going to be facing, how we're going to be reacting to difficulties. And sometimes we may have some inspiration from the past or some wrongdoings that we committed in the past that we needed to get even or make the things right on this life, on this incarnation. So everything that happens to us, even the bad things, they have a purpose and they have a lesson towards us. And we needed to learn the lessons that these experiences brings to us. Also, self-knowledge brings the understand us on our biggest challenges and opportunities of growth, because as we know, understand, we know ourselves, we know exactly what we have to change in how we needed to change ourselves. It brings also that we needed to reach the moral and spiritual evolvement, and self-knowledge ultimately brings the harmony between feelings, sentiments, desires, and realizations. We know what to do as we know what matters the most. So once we learn, once we have all of this understanding about ourselves, we're going to be able to take control. We're going to be able to guide our life in the future based on the attitudes that we take nowadays on a much better way. Because now we can understand and we can balance all of these feelings, sentiments, desires, and realizations, because we know what is important and we know what matters the most. And once we understand that, we also understand that Christ's teachings are the ultimate guide that we may follow towards anything that we have seen or that we may face in life. If you take the gospel, there is an expression, there is a word, there is a teaching in the gospel for everything that we face. Since losing very dear friends or dear family members in our lives unexpectedly, as well towards ingratitude, towards injustice, towards a lot of other things. It's just a matter of looking to the gospel and we'll be able to find the answers that we've been looking for. So, with these final words, I would like to give the word back to Jana, which is going to be conducting the final words on this first part of this morning works on this seminar. And once again, thank you so very much for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you for inviting us and bringing me the opportunity to be part of this seminar.
Thank you, Alex. It was a pleasure to have you with us. We miss you on our, monthly board meetings. So it was such a great pleasure to see your face, and hope, you can join us soon. Thank you.
I will for sure. Thank you so very much for you guys. You guys having a wonderful afternoon.
All right. All right, dear friends. So, since we are running a little bit late, we're not going to be doing our Q&A for the first block. We will be back at 2 o'clock for our second block with Susana Simões and Stella Matos. And we will have our Q&A then. And we hope to see you all. Have a great lunch and come back at 2 p.m. Thank you.